Good day to you. I want to develop my talk from the last one. Where does fear come from? Where does fear lead us? Fear, anxiety, anger, offense, vengeance. So last time I did this two tracks. The complementary track, for which we are designed with prefrontal cortex, empathic, executive, initiate, navigate, successful in conclusion, and reward track. That is operated from the prefrontal cortex on the dorsolateral aspect. Then there is the survival, risk, peril track, which is useful for survival. That if we start slipping on the banana leaf, then we do a certain protective action. That comes from the ventromedial aspect of the prefrontal cortex and connected to the amygdala, hippocampus, and hypothalamus. So complementary track I suggested says all can thrive. The competitive one, which is bottom-up regulation, facing thrill and peril, foxhole behavior, says only the fittest will survive. Wherever you got that belief, our beliefs make up our emotions and our behavior. Then we understood the baby begins with a spirit that generates love, and one day the child is introduced to a spirit that generates fear. Of course, if parents attempt abortion, the child faces it in the mother's womb also. So then we have the give and take behavior, complementary behavior, complementation behavior, and then the other one, demand and get my end, and that is my competitive track behavior. So in that context, fear leads to anxiety. Anxiety is where you feel that demand is more than your supply. Then comes the thing of injustice, and the offense. I have to fight this. I have to resist this. Those who are responsible for me are really not caring for me. That is where the offense comes from. Those who are responsible for me are not caring for me. So it is ingrained in man that there is someone responsible for me. So I have to take responsibility. If there is no one responsible for me, then I don't have to take any responsibility myself. I can live for the moment as I please. So it is in man the ontogeny, the ontos. Where did I come from? Teleos, for what end do I live? So ontology and teleology, in between how do I do it, is the cosmology. Now don't worry about all those big things, but we have a sense of who is responsible for me, for what am I responsible. Offense is the one responsible for me is not taking care of me, not fair to me, so I also can do as I please. So I want to ask you, what are the things you think man gets easily offended by, and when he starts on the offended track, the offensive track, in our vernacular we say, hossalangi masan be. Andana minibirita hata angileng anina avashya. That is the translation is that there are some people who are ready as if they are poked in the eye. They have a excessive reaction of whatever. So we have learned to call this offense. So today I want to move from fear, anxiety, anger, offense to and the vengeance part of it, anger management. Here I want to introduce, for a child, you can quickly manage a child's anger. Now where does anger come from? He who is responsible for me is not doing the best for me. So there's fear, anger, and before it go, then fear, anxiety, anger, and before it goes to offense, offense is that person is ready to react now on this assumption, who is responsible for me, who should have been responsible for me, is really not being fair by me. So there's an old story that came in an old garden that said, he who was responsible for you and gave all these good things, a perfect order that can be scientifically explored and scientific laws can be understood, he really did not give everything. So it's an old offense. So in the first family, brother murdered brother, and the older brother who murdered the younger brother said like this. This is how he said, I am driven from this day, and I am hidden. I will be hidden. I will be a vagrant and a wanderer on the earth. Whoever finds me will be against me. So before that, the general order was, whoever finds me will be for me. But there was mom, dad, and two brothers. Now, the older one, having murdered the younger one, got into his head, whoever finds me will be against me. So whenever you find this thing, ask yourself, what am I against? What am I contesting, confronting, contradicting? So when a child is behaving like that, you may have heard of the five love languages. Some children respond to touch. They need hugs and, hold the hand and put the fellow up. And some children don't like that. They don't like it at all. So some children's love language is touch and embrace and hug. Now such children, if you hit them, especially with your own hand, it's devastating for them. So when the love language is touch, you must not punish by touch. Some children's love language is words of appreciation. Therefore, they like words of appreciation. They like to talk. So now when you want to reprimand them, if you raise your voice, they get deeply hurt, because words and appreciation is the way they receive love. So you have to find a different method when you want to correct them. Now you need to correct them, and they need to know that in life there is correction. They need to know in life there is calibration, testing. So if you do two triangles, let me draw these two triangles. The forward triangle, I call it triangle of progression. There is calibration. Let's say calibration is there at the top, and there is commendation to begin with. Darling, don't worry, you can. Even before exam, you can. And then about the good reward, there's celebration. So this is the triangle, I hope you see, triangle of progression. Then there's a triangle that works against it. So I draw it in the other direction. I will have this on my Facebook timeline soon, so you can get a proper graphic. So this other triangle, I hope you can see this other triangle is facing backwards, and there at the three corners, what I will put down is 1. I'll put down 1 instead of commendation, condemnation. So you have at the bottom, okay, at the bottom. So you have made the child to feel you can't, you will never amount to anything. Everything you do, look at that. You don't even know to put your books in the right place. You forget, endless or in between, frequently enough, till the child's response is, the child is waiting for the peril. Child is waiting for the put down. Then the child is on the bottom-up regulation thing. I told you this before. Child is deja vu driven, like that fellow older brother, deja vu driven from what happened in the past, driven. And then he is running on into something that is pulling him, and he didn't plan it. He gets pulled and he gets pushed. Of course, that's not a good way for adult or child. That's not a good thing. So condemnation, and then instead of reasonable calibration, it's always a contest. Always a contest. How do I? Everything is contest. They're not good enough. You get what I mean? And the child says, I don't know what pleases my father and mother. And already the little fellow is into handling the emotions of other people, how to look good in their eyes. This little 5-year-old or 3-year-old for that matter, but really after 5 years that they begin to understand the dynamics that have been going on in their life. So the condemnation, the contest, and then of course on this side is the anti-reward behavior. Who cares? Now again, triangle of progression is commendation, certainly calibration, and then a good reward, and that is celebration, forward. Reverse one is operating on condemnation rather than commendation, and on contest, unequal, unfair contest the little fellow is facing up to, rather than meaningful, reasonable calibration. I have told you this before. Amygdala children, pictorial processing children don't like calibration. They want the world to be all freedom without any form. But world has form and freedom. That's how God has designed it. You know it's necessary. You can't have the freedom of the wild ass. Even in sexual behavior, there has to be a form. Yes, in everything. So the child who's into pictorial processing think the world is the limit, imaginative, speculative. So calibration doesn't come easily to them. You know, to give marks for art is more difficult than giving marks for mathematics. So that's the difference. So anyway, so you must have reasonable calibration. But with condemnation mode, child gets contests all the time, examinations that are difficult to pass. Now, if as a teacher I ask you, what is the purpose of examination? Child to fail or child to pass? Of course, a reasonable teacher says, I want my students to pass. I want at least 10% to get distinction, A grade. And you know, the whole scatter, bell curve scatter of performance, that's I expect. And you want the very few to fail. So that's how it is. So contest, when the child is facing condemnation, contest, and on the other side, child will have, who cares, anti-reward behavior. When that's a triangle of retrogression. This gets set in. Now we can activate a triangle of retrogression when we are going through a period of things begin to fail kind of thing, or run down period. You don't know why also. You may know also why. So post-traumatic stress behavior, where we get into bottom-up regulation, expectation of the last bad thing to happen tomorrow also. Dreams are always unpleasant. In PTSD, dreams become unpleasant. You have dreams, but the same bad dream again and again happens to you. So there is a therapeutic way of dealing with that. So these are the two triangles I'm going through today. Triangle of progression with celebration at front, and commendation at the bottom, and calibration in the middle. Then the triangle of retrogression with condemnation at the back, contests in the middle all the time, and in conclusion is anti-reward behavior. Nothing to look forward to. So getting back to the love languages, so some children are on touch, some are very heartened and hearkened by words of appreciation. They expect it. You must know your kid. And then in which case, if you shout at a child, you use very rigorous language for correction, that child collapses. So the principle is, when you know the child's love language is this, don't use that for correction. Use another language for correction. You must keep the love language that the child considers love language for appreciation. Okay? Then comes some children like gifts. Love language is to give a good gift at birthday time and so on. And anyway, when exam has been done well, they expect a gift. That's all right. It's not a bribe. It's at the end of performance, not at the beginning of performance. Don't say, if you get through, if you get 9 A's, I'll give you this. Never say that. It becomes bribery. Corruption starts at home. But you show your appreciation with a gift. Then some kids, their love language is you do their little care activities. They say, Tati, will you wait with me till I wash? Or and then you do the necessary things for life. They expect like that. They become dutiful children. They are a little on the performance side, but that's okay as long as you manage it. So don't fail them in the thing they expected you. So you say, I'll pick you up from school at 1:30. If you're not there till about 1:40, 1:45, that is no love. That's how they interpret. So you must know your child. Other thing is giving time, and usually food goes with it. Some children just want to hang around you. You need to hang around with them, go with them for a walk, beach or whatever. Factor all those possibilities and know your child's love language. Don't correct the child, reprimand the child in the way child gets appreciation. In that very way, she must not get depreciation. You must remember that. So getting back on track for anger management. Anger is a normal emotion. In fact, some situations, if it does not provoke anger, there's something that's wrong in you. If you find some fellow is abusive to your wife or very, very demeaning, anger will arise. So anger is a self-defense mechanism. You know that from physiology, the adrenal, the cortisol, all that gets into place. Then what is wrong with anger? What is needed is anger management. So here are some questions. What is the trigger for your anger? So what happens is some particular trigger gets anger going. If you don't manage it, you recruit other triggers, similar ones, later dissimilar ones, not at all connected, that provokes anger. So what has happened? You have recruited other stimuli as anger, and like in fear, your anger threshold has now come down also. What initially provoked anger was some very serious situation. Now when you keep practicing anger as a response, which comes out of a zone of no confidence. Did you realize that? You have put yourself in a zone of no confidence. Let's say your boss, whatever your field is, as you go before your boss, you have entered a zone of no confidence because you gave his words power in your life, which was foolish. You must keep your words having power in your life, your assessment having power in your life. So already when you go to meet the boss, you are in a pugilistic, belligerent mood, ready for a fight. And the fight will happen. Yeah. So what is the trigger for your anger? Don't recruit other triggers, over a period of 2 weeks. You are finding you're reacting to many, many things that you normally didn't react. What was the climate that lowered your anger threshold? Or stating it differently, what circumstances primed you up for the anger reaction? You have to stop that avalanche now. You know what avalanche is? Small snowballs become big snowballs. Big snowballs becomes a crashing slide. So as you see small snowballs gathering, your wife or someone needs to help you to recognize that an avalanche is now coming. Small snowballs are becoming bigger and an avalanche is due. Thirdly, normal anger reaction has a latent period. So check this is the provocation, how long it took you to get angry. So if there is no latent period, your anger triggered, anger primed. Take care of that. So when someone is needling you, how many needles has he to needle you before you react? Keep a check on that. So normal anger reaction has a healthy latent period. In that latent period, you get adjusted to how to handle it, how to assess the provocation and say, no, it's not a major provocation for me to burst out with all my resources. So you must know anger can be expressed, sometimes should be expressed. So you have to have a package on this side. How do you express anger? What is the scale you express anger? For instance, silent. Remove the smile. Put a serious face. You have not spoken. Keep a distance. You are like this. You draw back quietly. Then you might even fold your hands and show that you are not interested in the way he is developing the conversation. Now you have not spoken still. Then, of course, you can choose your words by that time. Never choose your fist, of course, yes. Never choose your fist, choose your words, what you will say, certainly to defend yourself. Also, try to see whether you can make this fellow to realize he's on a wrong track. So what will you do first? Throw some light into his thinking that he's on a wrong track, rather than standing up for your own defense. For this, you will need a little altruism. You may need a good shepherd working in your heart that helps you to consider, let me help him. Maybe your boss. Of course, this might be true for your son or for your wife. Let me help her to see that the track she's taking is unreasonable, too much. You understand? So before your self-defense, if you are able to consider that person's welfare, you become a benefactor. You remember my classification? The complementary mode and the competition mode. Thrive, all can thrive versus fittest survive. So I personally think the fittest survive philosophy is drastic, dangerous, and it has ruined the world really. So you must have heard of the AstraZeneca vaccine. It's now out that one person got transverse myelitis. So AstraZeneca vaccine was an adenovirus from chimpanzees that they used. Now look at this, adenovirus from chimpanzees they used for human infiltration. Now this kind of gain on function is prohibited. In US it is prohibited. That is why gain on function was prohibited. That is why in 2014, while President Obama was in power, CDC and Dr. Fauci shifted gain on function virus research to Wuhan laboratory, where the coronavirus, COVID, escaped. So when SARS came, CoV-1, when they were doing the vaccine for it, they got hold of chimpanzees, and that vaccine killed lots of chimpanzees involved in the vaccine process, research process, with a not unknown but a very violent immunological reaction. Then comes 17 years or 16 years later CoV-2, which causes a very severe cytokine storm and depletes pro-resolver molecules and whatnot, and it is mainly a immune reaction that kills the people. Immune reaction in the lungs and immune reaction against the hemoglobin. Now this vaccine again, AstraZeneca vaccine, used adenoviruses from chimpanzees, which should never be allowed, and that RNA with all the immune provocators they put into a modern RNA vaccine caused the transverse myelitis. Just keep it in mind. So this doesn't come on news that much. AstraZeneca has quickly taken action to make it very science-like and research-like and very benefactor-like, and we have stopped it immediately, that kind of thing. Then the question arises, when there's a safe variant, chemoprophylaxis, hydroxychloroquine for prevention and therapy, what is this rush for a vaccine? So that's the old debate. Since I have been on it, I just mentioned it in passing, but we get back to the topic of the day, anger. So there is usually a run-up of events that culminated in anger, that you understood now. Are you getting angry for any and everything, having got angry for one thing? Are you getting angry sooner than normal? So the latent period, and then are you peaking your anger suddenly? You know, anger is a U-curve, isn't it? It's physiological behavior, it should be. So what it does is, it does that and comes down. So in anger also, dopamine is involved. So don't keep dopamine going, because then it becomes addictive. Dopamine shifts from DA1 to DA2. That's addictive anger behavior. Second thing, just like in the digital screen, when you're angry and keep your anger, that's your salient point. You have no check back and serotonin cannot work. Then when serotonin doesn't work, you really don't know how you are doing, your default mode network of thought gets affected, and you shift from executive empathic to bottom-up regulation. Next, you're now on the peril mode. Don't know what else I'll have to face, and I'll jolly well face up to it. And that's the mode you're going, just like the little fellow on the digital screen. So remember this whenever you are getting step up anger momentum build up. That Dr. Lalith Mendis said, I'm just like the little fellow on the digital screen fighting aliens, spook, magic and whatnot. So I'm Dr. Lalith Mendis. Some of you know me well enough. If you want any of my former clips, please send me a WhatsApp to +94 77 49 59 214. So are you getting angry sooner than normal? Are you always angry? Then comes a period you're always, in that mode of you're against something or someone all the time. So I find as a nation, we seem to be very quick to criticize other people, write up the errors, rather than being beneficial and righting the error, R-I-G-H-T-I-N-G. So since we have many contrary factors or so many other side things. So we have races on the other side, we have business interests on the other side, we have political interests on the other side, maybe we have academic interests on the other side. So confrontational is what Sri Lankans have easily become. You may see this on the social media. I see lots of my students, medical students, now of course doctors, they are quite belligerent, in their behavior, very belligerent about the other side, whether it's the other side is a race or a political party or an ideology or a different idea. And they are very confrontational. So they are like, sort of six shooters drawn all the time like that, yeah. So I don't know, this can't be put down, everything can't be put down to the digital screen. So are you always angry? What is a problem or threat from which you are trying to defend yourself by being angry? So anger is like a bit like cocaine because it's dopaminergic. Anger gives you strength for how many hours? So choose your fights carefully because you want to expend anger creatively. Expend anger creatively. So if you want to take up an issue, you have to expend anger creatively. So for instance, when I saw the AstraZeneca vaccine, how they have done it, a little bit of anger crept into me, and I thought this must be different, and I'm quite happy that I did a lot of research on hydroxychloroquine and battled the issue at an academic level. Yes, so choose what you fight for carefully, because anger is a precious resource. Invest it wisely for purposes and products of some significance. Don't waste your anger on the roadside fights and teaching some fellow to drive properly. You get what I mean? So whatever your profession, have this thing. Anger is a resource. Anger is an investment. I choose carefully where to invest it. I'll invest it carefully, and I will plan what effect I expect from responding to this vigorously. That's what anger is, isn't it? Responding to it vigorously. And I will manage my anger within parameters of creativity, isn't it? I will not allow it to bust up. What's the point? I must preserve that resource, and then I withdraw the resources. If I find I alone can't do this, I withdraw. He who fights and runs away lives to fight another day, and discretion is the better part of valor. So consider anger to be harnessed for necessary projects, and don't let it bust. It's your resource. Don't throw it around on people who can't even appreciate what you are angry about. Academics get angry, academic board meetings get angry, and not only politicians. Corporate is as corrupt as the political world. Politicians can't be corrupt by themselves. Someone is offering them money. So that's how it goes. No government servant offers another government servant money. No. It is to the government machinery, the private sector offers money. So that's how corruption grows. So keep your anger as a resource to fight better battles for your family, for your kids, for a real worthy cause. You get what I mean? So anger doesn't have to be destructive. Anger can be creative. Anger can be constructive. Okay? So anger should not become a foolish mode of self-defense. Anger must not cloud your judgment. Anger must not exaggerate the threat, just like anxiety. So anger can give you false confidence, you know. So you must carefully choose, is this a battle that I can win? You have to be pragmatic. It's not being immoral, being pragmatic. So if you can't take up your chairman in a battle, no point busting yourself on it. Keep yourself quiet. Now those who know to pray will pray also, and expect God who is just, God who is fair. So I work with this factor, that there's a designer who's loving and fair and just. He can do more than I can do, change hearts. So I do have a relief valve, if you may. Yes. So anger, like anxiety, can give you false confidence of victory. You must take care of it. And anger can prevent you taking proper assessment of the opponent. Of course, when I say opponent, I don't mean a man or a woman. I mean a cause that you are trying to face up to. Anger must not become foolish courage, like Dutch courage. You know, the man who drinks alcohol has some motor courage, foolish courage. You must not become like that. Though anger may be successful in combat sometimes, it will teach you no lessons for future success. So you must use anger carefully, and it will engender false bravado, less preparation in the future. So the angry man doesn't prepare properly. But he can't get to on your mark, get set, is violated by the anger. Anger pushes you to talk or do before you are really ready. Yeah, you need to take care of that. Anger has some spook magic thing. You think because I'm I can get over it. It's not like that. What did you lose in your last anger outburst? Did you lose friends? Did you lose people? Did you lose opportunities? Did you lose reputation? Did you lose your health? Got those things? So you ask yourself, what did I say? In your last anger outburst, did you lose people? Did you lose friends, dear friends? Did you lose an opportunity to do better? Did you lose your reputation? Because angry man gathers a reputation about himself. So even when you say a truth, if you say it angrily, people don't consider it truth. People consider it prejudice. So take care. So 11th point, create a refractory period before you get angry again. Try hard at this, because lack of refractory period keeps you angry all the time, and you have shifted to bottom-up regulation, adrenaline, noradrenaline, cortisol, all that is, functioning. Serotonin has not been able to get back, and you must consider your sleep. GABA, aminobenzoic acid, comes up during that sleepy time. You feel like a baby, you feel this went wrong. So when you are sleeping, you must not allow anger to go into your sleep. Your dreams get affected, your sleep get affected. Let not the sun go down on your anger is an old saying. That because that will interrupt your melatonin secretion. Good to get angry. No, it's not good to get angry. But if you have to get angry before 6 p.m. After 6 p.m., try not to get angry. Okay? That's just by the way. So create a refractory period before you get angry again. Avoid the anger precipitating scenario for a while. You take preventive action against anger. You avoid that confrontation. Avoid that situation. Get some friend to speak up if necessary on your side. 12. You can't say I got angry unexpectedly. It's an untrue statement. You were ready for a fracas. You had got ready. So don't say I got angry unexpectedly. This is not true. You know the periods in which you are primed and anger prone. You know that period. So don't say I got angry unexpectedly. It's no excuse at all. Nobody will believe you. It's untrue. We know that what makes us angry. We know circumstances that I will react in anger, we must know. 13. Did your anger start with one thing about one person, and is it now spreading to unrelated people about unrelated issues? So I told you, don't recruit other things into your anger. Don't recruit other people into your anger. 14. Was your anger spike too high for the minor trigger? You see, trigger was minor, so let your anger spike quietly go up, quickly come down. When you're anger prone, anger spike goes up too quickly, too high, and it doesn't come down. It lingers on even through the night. Then you have to take care of it. Has your anger spike repeated more and more? For less and less, that is more spiky for hardly anything. Real hosalangi masanabe. For the slightest little thing, you're reacting to your child, to your spouse, office situation, or whatever it is. 16. Was your anger at peak for too long? More than 1 minute. Understand? Anger is safe. Anger is not a nice thing, but if it happens, it's safe only. That peak can be only 1 minute. If you don't handle it, anger peak, you don't know what you do. Anger overcomes you. So don't go there. I repeat, anger peak must be just and done. It must quickly come down. Don't dwell on a peak of anger. You'll hurt yourself. You'll hurt your loved ones. You'll hurt your reputation. I told you what else. Usually anger takes time to peak. Have you been peaking anger climax too rapidly in recent times? So I think I have done most of it. Differentiate between anger that comes from righteous indignation to protect the weak from the oppressor, and other causes of anger, you being hurt, protesting in self-defense, belligerence to attack another. Your weakness, incompetence, lost opportunities, lost relationships can make you dwell in angry mode. Anger works furious forward on dopamine with no backward check or introspection allowed through serotonin. And it interferes with GABA, it interferes with oxytocin. Angry man can't be a loving man. So consider the cost on your family, on your career, on yourself. Don't shift to the bottom-up regulation that anger precipitates. Keep yourself in the executive, empathic, prefrontal mode of initiate, navigate, successful in conclusion, celebration. Don't get into the triangle of retrogression. Be in the triangle of progression, which has commendation, calibration, and celebration. You got it? Thank you for listening. We'll meet again.